The fall of the Berlin Wall during the Peace Revolution on November 9, 1989, was an important turning point in world history. It was one of the events that precipitated the fall of communism in Central and Eastern Europe, preceded by the Polish Solidarity movement. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it became clear that the Soviet Union's domination of Eastern Europe could not be maintained, leading to the dissolution of the Warsaw Pact and finally, to the reunification of Germany. What was the reason for the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961? The Berlin Wall was built in response to the mass emigration of East German citizens to West Germany. Since 1949, when the Federal Republic of Germany, or West Germany, and the German Democratic Republic, or East Germany, were formed, more than 2.5 million people had left East Germany, creating serious economic and social problems for the socialist regime. The wall, erected on the night of August 12 to 13, 1961, became a symbol of the country's division and the beginning of a hard border between East and West. Interesting fact, the wall was not just a physical barrier, but also a symbol of the Iron Curtain that separated the capitalist West from the communist East, becoming one of the strongest metaphors of the Cold War. What security measures were put in place along the Berlin Wall? The Berlin Wall was guarded with many security measures, including border patrols, mines, electrified fences, and observation towers. According to official information, more than 300 people died trying to cross the wall, many of whom were shot and killed by border guards. Interesting fact, the East German border guards had a command to act as directed, which meant they could shoot without warning if anyone tried to cross the border. What were the main events leading up to the fall of the wall in 1989? By 1989, a wave of democratic change had begun in Eastern Europe. Poland held its first free elections, and other countries such as Czechoslovakia and Hungary had peaceful revolutions. These events inspired East Germans, who began to hold mass demonstrations for freedom and reform. Interesting fact, in East Germany, protests began with the Monday demonstrations in Leipzig, which drew tens of thousands of people in favor of free speech and human rights. What significance did Ronald Reagan's 1987 speech have on the fall of the wall? Ronald Reagan's speech in Berlin on June 12, 1987, in which he called on Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down this wall, was a landmark moment in the history of the Cold War. The speech emphasized Western support for the East European countries' struggle for freedom and democracy. Interesting fact, Reagan's speech was delivered near the Brandenburg Gate, a symbol of divided Berlin, and it was a powerful message to people in East Germany. How was the fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9, 1989? The fall of the Berlin Wall was the result of confusion and misunderstanding about the new exit rules. On the evening of November 9, 1989, East German government spokesperson Günter Schabowski announced that East German citizens were free to travel abroad, which caused massive crowds at the wall. The border guards, without clear instructions, opened the gates. Interesting fact, the event was not only a political but also an emotional moment for many, when East Germans were able to cross to the western side for the first time in almost 3 decades. How did the fall of the wall affect German unification? The fall of the Berlin Wall was the catalyst for the unification of Germany, which took place on October 3, 1990. East and West Germany united into a single state, a significant step towards ending the Cold War. Interesting fact, the unification of Germany took place rather quickly and without significant conflict, which was surprising against the backdrop of difficult historical circumstances. So, how did the international community react to the fall of the wall? The fall of the Berlin Wall provoked strong reactions around the world. Western leaders hailed the event as the beginning of a new era of freedom and democracy. At the same time, the Soviet Union, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, supported the change despite the crisis of the system. Interesting fact, the fall of the wall also inspired other countries, such as Czechoslovakia and Romania, to hold their own revolutions and transition to democracy. What was the role of the media in the fall of the Berlin Wall? The media played an important role in covering the events surrounding the fall of the wall. Television programs and reports on the mass demonstrations and the fall of the wall helped spread the word and inspire people to take action. Interesting fact: a lot of people in East Germany used Western TV channels to get information, which contributed to the dissatisfaction with the regime. What is the symbolic significance of the Berlin Wall today? Today, the Berlin Wall is seen as a symbol of the struggle for freedom and human rights. The remains of the wall have become a popular tourist attraction, and the sites of its destruction and monuments remind us of the importance of freedom and unity. Interesting fact: every year Germany celebrates the day the wall fell, serving as a reminder of the need to protect democracy and human rights. How did the fall of the Berlin Wall affect the future history of Europe? The fall of the Berlin Wall was one of the key moments that led to the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new order in Europe. It paved the way for the eastward expansion of the European Union and NATO, as well as democratic change in other post-Soviet countries. Interesting fact: in 2004, 10 new countries, including 8 former socialist countries, joined the European Union, symbolizing the end of the division of Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall was one of the most significant events of the 20th century, symbolizing the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new era of freedom and democratic change. These 10 questions and answers illustrate important aspects of this historic moment and its impact on the world. Make the background music YouTube background music.